So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to take a break from our previously scheduled content to offer you a little bit of knowledge. Now, what you'll come to learn about me is I'm a huge history buff. I love history, love everything about it. The good, the bad, the ugly. And right now, we are in historic events, whether you like it or not, whether you agree with it or not. I'm not here to say yay or nay. Not really here for that. However, we are going to be watching a video by Oversimplified. That's the channel name. I'll leave a link in the description down below so you guys can watch the original video. Not 100% sure about all the copyright stuff and like that, but I'm just going to go ahead and say I don't own this video. I just want to use it to give a general overview of what happened. Now, World War II is a horrific war. Let's get into that. Let's just go ahead and say that. It was horrific. It was bad, but it could have been prevented. So many signs, and they'll say some of them in this video. So many signs that Hitler displayed could have been prevented. Now, on the topic of Hitler, whether you like it or not, the man's a fucking genius. Blitzkrieg, the strategy of hit hard, hit fast, and keep pushing, fucking brilliant. World War I was a trench warfare. World War II, not so much. With Blitzkrieg, that's what allowed him to take France. Hitler, being a batshit crazy person, I do not condone his whatever. He was a military genius. As a matter of fact, some of the strategies that he uses have been improved upon for modern day uses. I don't know them specifically because I'm not in the military, nor have I ever been. I'm fat, I'm lazy. I don't really, and I have a huge problem with authority. Military is not for me. However, I cannot deny the man was smart. All the way until he went fucking nuts. And the whole Holocaust thing, terrible. Let's just go ahead and get that preface out of the way. Fucking terrible. He was an evil person. May he rot in hell. Penicillin was one of the things, I think, if I remember correctly. Penicillin came about because of the Nazi regime. Horrible circumstance for it to come about. But one of the most life-saving drugs on the face of the planet. I'm allergic to penicillin. I don't know what it does, because I'm allergic to it. It will kill me dead. Just like kiwi. Kiwi is not a fan of me. I've never had it. If you guys have had a kiwi, please comment down below and tell me what it tastes like. It looks like a fucking hairy nutsack to me. But hey, what the fuck do I know? Because I've never had it. So yeah, I mean, and the U.S.'s involvement, as we know, was huge. I'm not going to deny that the U.S. is free of any guilt or any wrongdoing. I know we did some horrible things, like the internment of Japanese Americans in internment camps, for lack of a better term, during the Pacific War. Pacific, not specific. Don't make that mistake. I've made it many a times. However, America became a powerhouse because of it. And let's be real here. We would not have won the war in the Pacific if we had not had the Navajo code talkers. Very rarely talked about. As a matter of fact, in my history textbook that I took, I just got done taking a class in United States history up to 1866, but my teacher was a Vietnam vet. A colonel, as a matter of fact. So shout out to that guy. Thank you for your service. The Navajo code talkers were the key to the war in the Pacific. It was the law, again, to my knowledge, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not an expert, but I do love this subject. History in general is fascinating to me. And like I said, history is history. It ain't pretty. It really isn't. Let's just get that out of the fucking way right now. It ain't pretty. But we can learn from it. And we can kind of have fun. I mean, this guy makes some really cool shit. I will be doing a reaction to both, and we'll be going from there. But yeah, to finish my segment, like one of the things I do know from I talked to a guy who was there in the Pacific War, which one PSA: talk to veterans. You want to know what happened? You guys like, if you guys like history, you guys like learning about certain events, talk to the guys that were there. I've talked to some World War II vets. It brightens their fucking day. It makes them feel fantastic that a young guy like me will sit there and I could listen to hours of stories of these guys that they would tell. One guy my brother talked to was like, hell, man, I did it because I wanted to, you know? That generation of men in the U.S. is unparalleled. And we'll get into why during the segment about D-Day. But we're not there yet. This is the start of the war. I can feel this whole thing about things I know. Let's watch what he has to know. And I'll add little tidbits in between. If you guys like this, or, you know, hopefully, just spoiler alert, no one get offended, please. Like I said, I'm not here to offend anybody. I'm here to say what is, or watch history. I know little tidbits of facts, some that I've learned, some that I've talked to people, some that I've talked firsthand survivors. But yeah, like I said, I would love to sit down with a Navajo code talker and just pick his fucking brain. Those guys were badass. The generation of World War II were badass. They didn't have this fancy fucking combat armor that we have now. We don't have, they didn't have that. They had a fucking helmet that wasn't designed to stop bullets, was designed to stop shrapnel. And they charged into battle. There was no automatic guns. The U.S. had M1 Garands and 1911s. Then they kind of came out with the carbine and the Tommy gun by the time Normandy came around. But the U.S. didn't get involved until Normandy because we kind of spearheaded the operation. I think we landed at Juneau and Omaha Beach. No. I'm not 100% sure. I know we landed at Omaha Beach. There's a really cool story that I'll tell you guys when it comes to that section. So, and that'll be in next videos. Don't let me forget. But yeah, like, this was insane. This war was horrible. I think it was estimates of 80 million people were killed. Fucking horrific. But war sometimes is the catalyst for invention. Penicillin, modern avionics, the Luftwaffe. The Luftwaffe, the German Luftwaffe was insane. Their planes were the best. As a matter of fact, our Corsair, I think it was what we had, the Corsairs, could not compete with the Messerschmitts. Couldn't. Then we invented the P-51 Mustang, and then we were back in the fight. The Corsairs couldn't even keep up with the Japanese Zeros, it's actually a Mitsubishi Zero. So remember that next time you buy a Mitsubishi. I'm not hating on Mitsubishi. I actually love Mitsubishi cars. So, I mean, I drive a fucking Honda. Take it with a grain of salt. And I have a couple buddies who came home, but were stationed in Okinawa, and they said they loved it and make me want to visit Japan even more. I want to go to Okinawa. I want to go to Tokyo. I want to travel the world. I want to go to Normandy. I want to see where this happened. France, I mean, I'm learning their language, so yay me. Let me just get this out of the way. French is a confusing ass fucking language. Water is spelled E-A-U-X. And you want to know how it's pronounced? O. O is E-A-U-X. And it means water. Riddle me that, fucking Batman. How the hell does that make sense? But yeah, enough of me. Wow, 9 minutes of me talking. I'm going to shut the fuck up and we'll watch the video.
An artist, a butterfly enthusiast.
It's fascinating because you literally can see parallels throughout history today. So my advice to you is history may be boring, but learn it. Otherwise, we are doomed to repeat ourselves. And no one wants that. We want to be going forward. I want to see, before I go to those pearly gates, I want to see a manned expedition going to Mars. But we got to keep going forward in order to do that. Got to keep doing that. Got to keep going forward. We can't go backwards. And I'm not going to get political or anything like that. Mainly because I don't want my blood pressure raised. Politics annoy me a lot. So I'll end it with this. Those who forget history or neglect it are doomed to repeat it. Simple as that. Just remember, open a history textbook. Or Netflix has huge history documentaries. They even did a new World War II one that's in color. It's fucking amazing. I love it. I'm a nerd, guys. I don't have to be an athlete anymore, so I got fat and lazy. Hey, but I'm back down to 220. Trying to push for 180. We'll see how that goes.
Then he went about establishing a dictatorship within.
So that's a fucking vein and a half.
Fascist dictator. Next up,
Il Deuce?
on the loser's side, and they got
Not gonna lie, when I first read that, I thought it said Little Deuce. I was confused.
Had to reduce their army to just 100,000 men, couldn't have an air force, had to pay the Allies a huge amount of money that it didn't have, and a new rule was established that every English.
The Treaty of Versailles is what started
Berlin, pick out
World War
any
II,
they wanted,
in my
and beat the
opinion.
hell out of them. I made that last one up, but it helps you understand how all this felt to Germans. On top of that, a bad economy and weak governments meant that when a small angry man with a silly mustache came along and said that he
Yeah, his mustache was kind of really silly.
Hitler had been a soldier.
Speaking of, so I can tell you why he had the silly little mustache instead of like a big beard. Like I don't have a big beard. So the reason why he has that little derpy little mustache is so when he put his gas mask on, there wouldn't be a seam. So the facial hair would and he couldn't, get poisoned. Hence, that's why he had the little derpy mustache. Mark?
This is how fast YouTube is with Brave. Notice how there's no pre-roll ads?
This new
So, because I hope I'm not offending anybody with the little tidbits of knowledge that I'm dropping. But like I said, it's fascinating. Like when you dive into this war, I mean, you learn some insane things. Like the French Resistance, fucking badass. The British, fucking badass. America did not want to get into another world war. We didn't want to, which is, I agree. That would have been horrible, and it ended horribly. 80 million people died. There's no way you can turn that good. 80 million sons, mothers, fathers, brothers, daughters, the family dog died. War is not what like Call of Duty depicts it as, where you respawn and you're good to go. You get one shot, buddy. You get fucked up, you're done. It's ideally in a world where there were no wars, that'd be perfect. I'd love it. They wouldn't need young men like me and my brother to go fight for our countries. Neither of us are in the military, so we don't have to worry about that. But if push comes to shove, hell, I was already going in the military when I got out of high school, except I have ADHD. Prevented it. I'm not going to be one of these guys who are like, I was going to go in the military. No, I understand I fucked that up. I failed. Shit sucks. Move on. Still love military history. Love it. Like, World War I, the whole world was using bolt actions. Literal bolt actions. By the time World War II runs around, we're still using bolt actions in some countries. But we've also made great strides. Like the Germans had the STG-44, the MP-40, the MG-42, which is a devastating weapon. The United States had the M1 Garand, which is a semi-automatic weapon with 8 rounds of 30-06, I believe it is, and a bandolier, and that bandolier ping is sexy. We had the Tommy gun, the M3 grease gun, the BAR, or Browning automatic rifle, which is a fully automatic Basically a fully automatic M1 Garand, which shoots the same round. Doesn't, except the M1 Garand has a internal magazine. It's a bandolier. The BAR has a detachable magazine. I already said the M3 grease gun, the M1911, which is a very well known 1911 that shoots 45 ACP rounds, which means it'll fuck you up. And it has 8 rounds in the 7 or 8 rounds in the magazine. Question mark? And Call of Duty's favorite from the World War II era, the Kar 98K. Oh yeah, SCG I believe it means Stromgewehr. Any Germans in the comment section, please correct my pronunciation. Or correct me on that one. Don't know. I'm going to shut up and watch this.
Line stunned the
Ahead. The Saving Private Ryan movie was based off of the Sullivan brothers. And that there's an actual act about it called the Sullivan Act. Which, for layman's terms, means if, let's say, me and my brother, for instance, I can serve. He cannot serve in a combat role. I can go to combat. He can't. Because the Sullivan Act states, and what happened with the Sullivan brothers, I think there were 3 or 4. 2 were killed in Normandy. 1 was killed in France, parachuting over, and 1 was killed. I think it was 3. 2 were killed in Normandy. 1 was killed in France, thus ending that line. That line of the Sullivan family, done. They had no children, and there were no male heirs left. So the Sullivan Act states that if there are X amount, how many brothers, 1 has to stay home or serve in a non-combat role, so the line can continue. I can go fight and die, or vice versa. My brother can go fight and die, and I can stay home. It's not gonna happen. I'd rather go fight and die. No. Stay home. But that's the kind of thing that happened in World War II. Entire lines of family disappeared from the record book. Because everybody died. I don't mean to make it sound so fucking atrocious, but it is. It was a horrible war. Very interesting to study. Horrible war. It was bad. But, not mean we can't have fun while learning about it. What the hell's on the inside of this? Don't know. Better questions left unanswered.
had done, just like
Oh, I thought this was another thing for Top Gun. I was like, holy shit. Another interesting tidbit. Have you ever watched the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe? At the beginning of the movie, they're sent off into the countryside, and you can vaguely see for like 2 frames, I think, the Luftwaffe overhead bombing London. The book was written during, or the setting of the book was written in World War II. The kids weren't going to like Uncle Joe's crab shack. No, London was being bombed. So they sent the kids to the countryside so they wouldn't die. Britain they got balls of fucking steel. I rag on the British sometimes, and I rag on the French sometimes, but the French resistance had balls. The British people had balls. So good job, guys. I always can count on you. So that is part 1. Oops. So we'll get to part 2 in the next video. I just wanted to share this because I love World War II and I have so many interesting tidbits. I talked to a couple World War II vets that live in Florida. Great men, by the way. I love hearing their stories. As a matter of fact, I even have one from family history. During the American war in Europe, my great-grandfather or great-great-grandfather, I can't remember how many greats he is, was in Italy fighting. Well, he kind of stole a motorcycle. I was riding around the Italian countryside, where he met General George Patton. I'm not making this up. There are actual photographs of my great grandfather in Italy with that fucking motorcycle. So General George Patton pulls over my great grandfather and says, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because it was common for the Germans to booby trap said vehicles and explode them. My great grandfather didn't give a shit. He took it anyway. He started riding it, and he's like, "Well, you need to take that motorcycle back there." He said, "Nah, I'm gonna ride it around." Basically told General George Patton to fuck off. Great going, buddy. You pissed off one of the most influential men in history, a future president. My hat's off to you, Mister. Now I see where I get my hatred for authority. So yeah, if you guys like this, drop a like, a comment. Like, if you guys want to watch other segments of history, I love all aspects of history. If you guys want to get in a comment, I could do like a Twitch stream where we just watch history stuff. I could do that. I love it. I love history so fucking much. I know it's boring, and that makes me sound like a very boring person. This is probably why I'm single. I love history. I could study it all day. The Roman Empire was fan. I love the Roman legions and all that shit. I also love World War II. It's insane. But still, it was a pretty bad war. So I mean, like I said, most modern medicines came from the horrible Holocaust. Horrible. Very horrible. And yeah, but yeah. As a matter of fact, I believe Albert Einstein, one of the big brainiacs who defected from the Nazi regime, was working on the Manhattan Project. I think it was Albert Einstein. I don't remember if he was German or not, but that name sprung in my head for some reason. Don't take me, take everything I say with a grain of salt. I don't have a fucking history textbook in front of me, and I'm not fact checking this shit. I'm saying what I remember. So if I'm wrong, don't get offended. Don't murder me in the comments. Just casually point it out. Tell me why I'm wrong. Please. That's how we learn. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and end this. I'm going to zhuzh it up a little bit, and we're going to get this posted. And I will continue with the StarCraft playthrough, actually right after I watch episode 2. I'm going to watch it anyways. If you guys want to watch, if you guys want to see me do a reaction to it, please, by all means, like this video. Like it the fuck up. Share it with your friends, your family, your cousins, your aunts. I don't give a shit. Fucking share that shit up, fam. Where we can play more video games and stuff like that. It's mainly what my channel is. I just wanted to watch this real quick. But until next time, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you guys have found this a little informative. I will see you guys, hopefully, for part 2. If not, I'll see you guys in episode 5 for StarCraft. I'm going to be probably filming right after this. Alright, lads and lasses. Peace.